Hi everyone, it's Laura Volpes for ModaScrap, and in today's video I'm going to share with you how to create a coffee themed card and a matching gift card holder. Let's start from the card and let's have a look at the products that I used. I used the Cheers stamp set, the 6x6 SUDTIROL Origins paper pad, the Forever Green stamp set, and then I used dies in the Dashing Rectangles die set. Because I'm going to be doing some mask stamping, the first thing I'm going to do is to create the actual masks. For that reason, I'm stamping the images that I want to use for my focal point on some repositionable packaging labels, and I am cutting them out using my cutter bee scissors. Once the masks are all cut out, I can go ahead and start creating my focal point. I have some WOODSTOCK white cardstock here that I die cut with the Dashing Rectangles dies by ModaScrap, and I'm going to do stamping directly on this panel. As you could see, I used the masks to help me figure out the exact arrangement that I want, and then once I was okay with that, I went ahead and stamped the first mug. When you do mask stamping, you want to start with everything that's in the foreground, and then you're going to stamp it on your panel and mask it with the masks you created. Next, you're going to stamp what's in the background, and in this case, because the second mug and the cookie do not overlap, I could go ahead and stamp them at once. And if you wanted to add multiple layers at this point, you would mask off the cookie and the second mug as well and go ahead and do more stamping, and everything that you stamped in that case would be even further away in the background. In my case, I just wanted this small composition here, and I also went ahead and directly stamped the Cheers sentiment right on top of the images using one of the stamps in the Cheers stamp set. I didn't mention it, but the mugs are part of the Cheers stamp set as well, whereas the reindeer is part of the Forever Green stamp set, which was released last year and is a lot of fun, and I thought it was just perfect to go with these beautiful mugs. For my coloring today, I decided to use Prismacolor pencils, which meant this took me a little bit longer to color in than it would have if I had used watercolors or if I had used alcohol markers, for example. It is up to you what coloring medium you choose. It really does not matter for the purposes of this project. It will be really pretty either way. The thing that I did is I chose a color palette that would match as nicely as possible with the colors that I have in my paper pad, which I remind you is the SUDTIROL Origins, and I'm going to use the 6x6 paper pad for the card. For the cookie here, what I did is I started by adding some light browns in the areas where I thought the cookie would show through, and what I wanted to do in the end is to have some frosting in the center, so you can see that I left plenty of space, and I'm going to go in there later on with some creamy colors. But for now I am building up my shading and my color with multiple layers with my Prismacolor pencils. When you use this type of medium, it is important that you do not push very hard. You can see I am building up the color and the intensity by adding multiple layers rather than pressing very hard from the get-go. And I'm also using circular motions with my hand to add the color and try and blend my medium shade and my dark shade together as best as I can. As I mentioned, for the frosting, I started by adding some shading with kind of a beige marker, and I added that all around the area that I had left blank. I then blended that out towards the center with a cream pencil, and I left enough space so that I could then go in with my white Prismacolor pencil and blend everything out. Because I felt that there wasn't enough contrast, I went in with a rather dark Prismacolor brown pencil, and I added a few details and a little bit of shading around the edge of the frosting, and then I came in again with some lighter pencils to blend everything out. Next, I went ahead and I colored the mugs, but in between coloring I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more detail to my stamped image, so I went ahead and I stamped one of the stars in the Forever Green stamp set in the center of the mug, which is in the forefront, and then I went ahead and started doing my coloring. I used some reds, which will be a very nice pop of color in our card and later on in our gift tag holder. And again, I'm starting with a very light layer using circular motions, and I'm then going to add more and more layers to build the intensity in my coloring. For the mugs, I'm going to add my shadows on one side of the image, and then I'm going to blend it out towards the highlight area, which will be the opposite side. And here for this mug that is in the background, I'm going to have a little bit of a cast shadow where it overlaps with the mug that is instead in the foreground. As I mentioned, you could of course use any other coloring medium and it would definitely be a little bit faster, but even in this case it didn't take too long at all because these images aren't large and so it doesn't take a ton of time to color. And also one other thing you could do if you use color pencils is to use something like Gamsol to blend them out. Anyway, at this point the coloring is done and I also die cut my card base from the SUDTIROL Origins paper pad, and for that I used the largest die in the Dashing Rectangles die set. To complete my sentiment, I'm going to do some heat embossing with white embossing powder over some black cardstock, and I really find that using fine detail embossing powder helps a lot in getting a crisp result, especially with sentiments which are so nice and delicate. Once the embossing powder was all nice and melted, I went ahead and I used my guillotine trimmer here to turn this into a thin sentiment strip. And then I went ahead and added a few extra details to this card before calling it done. I decided to add some baker's twine, and this is in a very nice and neutral color, and I added 2 strings on opposite corners of my card front. You can see that I am securing them to the back with some purple tape, and then I also decided to add a tiny ribbon to the top left corner of the card. So I tied a ribbon from that same baker's twine, and once I adjusted it to the size and shape that I wanted, I went ahead and I glued it down using a little dab of my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I think that this adds a very nice touch to the card. The last step was to add a few stars, and for that I used Fluffy in the color Old Linen and the New Baby Stencil by ModaScrap. I added them on the top right and lower left corners of my focal panel, and I think they added the perfect finishing touch to my card. And here is a close-up look at the final result, and I have to say that I really love the way it turned out. I love the mood of the card. It is perfect for Christmas as well as fall, and I really love that bright pop of red. And because I loved the card so much, I decided to create a matching gift card holder, and for that I used the 12x12 version of the SUDTIROL Origins paper pad, and I also used this beautiful die set here. This is called Gift Card Holder, and you will see it helps you create this type of project very quickly, and the result is really beautiful. So I used the largest die to die cut the same plaid pattern paper that I used for the base of my card, but as I said, this time out of the 12x12 inches paper pad. And then I used my mini score tool here to reinforce a little bit the score lines that are created by the die. And then all you have to do literally is to fold the paper along the score lines, and you will start from the side flaps. You will then fold the bottom over towards the center and then fold the top so that you can insert this little semicircle here inside the notch. Here's your gift card holder all ready to be decorated, and in order to create a matching set with my card, I stamped again the same mugs in the same exact position that I have them on the card on a scrap piece of WOODSTOCK white cardstock by ModaScrap. I colored them again with Prismacolor pencils in shades of reds, and this time around I'm going to fussy cut them out using my precision scissors here, which was very easy and very quick to do because the shapes are very linear and there aren't a lot of nooks and crannies at all. The gift card holder die set also has dies that will help you create a lovely and dimensional ribbon, and in this case, to sort of be consistent with that nice and clean feel that I have on my card, I die cut everything out of some WOODSTOCK white cardstock, my ModaScrap. I put the ribbon together, and that is very easy to do. The dies are designed so that this is a very straightforward process, and I think that the ribbon itself is really cute and it would be great on baby cards too, for example. Once the ribbon was ready and the glue was dry, I went ahead and adhered it on my gift card holder there on that top flap. Just make sure that you don't glue the mechanism shut accidentally, and for that reason why I am gluing everything down, I am keeping that top flap outside the notch. And this way, even if a little bit of glue oozes out, it will not glue anything shut. The gift tag holder die set also has a die that cuts this rectangle with 2 notches that you can then use to insert your gift card, and this die is perfectly sized to die cut those journaling cards that you very often find in the 12 by 12 inches paper collections by ModaScrap, and this one here is from the 12 by 12 SUDTIROL Origins paper collection. Here you can see how easily you can tuck in your gift card holder, and for me it had to be Starbucks, and then it will fold close and it is so super adorable. Before going, again, a close-up look at this adorable project and a side-by-side look at the little set, which I think is really cute, and as I said, will work great for Christmas and fall as well. And that's it for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment in the comment section down below, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the ModaScrap channel for more inspiration from the design team. As always, thank you all so much for stopping by and have a great day.